So it's really interesting because to get this visa, you turn in an itinerary and you hire, the Cuban government requires you hire a Cuban tour guide. And so we had this lovely young woman named Zuli, Z-U-L-I, and she was our guide that took us everywhere during the day. And then, you know, at 5 o'clock she went home and we'd have dinner and then do what we wanted to do. Well, since I've spent a lot of time in Central America and am comfortable with my Spanish, then everywhere we went, I would stop and talk to people and say, tell me about this, tell me about that. And then at night, of course, we'd make friends and we'd go out with them and see people's homes and really see how they're living. In Cuba, there are no shanty towns, but there are a lot of very broken down homes and people living at a very low standard of living. And everybody's living off of food rationing. 80% of the food that they eat in Cuba comes from other countries. It's imported. And so they've invested in education and their doctors. They haven't invested in being a self-sustaining country. So I was there January 4th through the 16th. And so they knew that there's potential for the embargo to be lifted. At that time, nothing had been lifted. The day after we got home, they lifted the embargo on what U.S. citizens can bring back into the country. So the day after we left, now it's legal to bring in $100 worth of cigar, rum, that kind of thing, whereas when we came home, we were not allowed to. Because they're used to seeing some foreigners visiting, right? They're used to seeing Europeans and Canadians or Latin Americans. And so they'd ask us where we were from, and when we'd say the U.S., really? You're from the United States? If we were in a restaurant, then the waiter would say, hey everybody, they're from America, Obama! And the whole room would say, Obama! Same thing happened on the streets at night. It was crazy. People would ask me, do you feel safe here? Will you come back? Will you tell other Americans that this is a good place to come? They are so eager for us to come.